Oh, already.
Yeah.
3.
If I have this, oh, okay, that's great. Hi everyone.
Oh, yeah. Hello.
Say something. If you can hear us, please put in the chat box that you can hear us. Hello, word. Wow, great. Thank you, Jennifer. Okay, Tom, you want to open some communication?
Yeah,
I think I
open
will
up the
just-
email. Not the email. The website.
Yeah.
Maybe you can start with the.
Oh, good. Okay. Thanks, Emily. Thanks, Robin, for joining in. Welcome back to the school year. Okay. Actually, this is the first time that we use this conference room, and first time with the technology. But I hope that all upcoming events can also like be nice and connect everyone wherever you are. So we have beautiful people joining us on campus. Welcome, and then we have a group of you on the Zoom as well. So welcome back. Tom, okay, Tom, just pull it up, and then I will start.
Yep.
Okay. We just stopped. Okay, there's it. All right.
And also we need to share the screen for the newspaper.
But Tom, let me begin with
Yeah, you
some
can start, yeah.
introductions and
Go ahead.
okay. Yeah, because I want to see everyone face. Okay. So hi everyone. Let's start the meeting today because time is valuable. So my name is Mary, and I'm here I'm the president of ETAP. So ETAP is the abbreviation of Educational Theory and Practice Department. So we are in the School of Education, and we have a student group that have a lot of events for students. And in order to create like a supportive environment to help the doctoral student to enjoy their PhD journey, and also like make connection with friends around us as well. So it's our pleasure to welcome you guys from all the department computer science, right? Yeah. All of you?
Yes.
Yes, and we have Devindy today with us. She's the first year doctoral student. And also we have Yang Hyun. He's the vice president of ETAP. And also Tom is the event coordinator. Yeah. And we have Morzy. She's also from Department of Educational Psychology and Methodology, right? Morzy, methodology as well, right? Yes. So I love to know about you who are like on the Zoom right now. So please, if you can unmute and say something, or if you can also tap in the chat box, it's great as well. I want to check if we can hear you as well. Actually.
Well, I'll start. My name is Emily
Robin,
Crosby.
yeah, say something, Robin, Emily.
I'm in the ELTL program.
we
This
cannot
is my
hear
third
you.
semester. Can you hear me okay?
I think there's a place where we can turn on the volume. Well, if not,
I'll put it in the chat.
we need to figure it out. If not, please use the chat box, and then I will read everyone's bios. So please, Tom, can you go to the chat?
I think maybe they can just say their name and the programs. And
Yes. All right. I can hear you. Sound good. Okay. Write something and tell us something about you as well. Hi, Jennifer, Emily, and Robin. So now I will introduce Tom, and Tom gonna talk about some core programs that we do in our organization before we welcome the guest speaker today. Right. Yes. You can stand here. So
I'll just Hello everyone. So I'm just going to give a quick overview of ETAP docs. No. just close the chat box. Wait a second. There we go. So ETAP Docs is a student-led group. And the idea is basically a group of doctoral students that have come together to try to help each other in 3 ways. The first one is to help each other achieve the milestones and all the different kind of requirements in the PhD program, to develop research, to help each other develop high quality research. And then number 3 is to try and build a sense of community for everyone in our program. So we do this by putting on events, workshops like today, as well as which the events and the workshops are more like one-off events, maybe like every couple of weeks there might be a big event like this. But also we have our 2 main programs too, which you can find on our website. Sorry, the mouse is a bit laggy. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's the battery.
Yeah, okay. If worse comes to us, we've got the computer science guys. You know.
Yes.
We've got the right
Guys are
people.
here.
Got the right people here to help us. So the two main programs that we do are a research group that meet every 2 weeks, and the idea is that we can go there and bring ideas for research, ongoing research, or plans for submitting research to a conference or to a journal, and to try to help each other develop high quality research by presenting stuff and giving feedback, posing questions, and these kind of things. And through that kind of like peer review workshopping, we can try to develop good quality research. So that happens every 2 weeks. You can find more information on the website. The second one is a mentoring program. So in the mentoring program, we try to match new students to the program with students who've been in the program for perhaps maybe 2, 3, 4, even 8 years if they're part-time. And the idea is to try and have a friend to sort of call on and ask questions for anything from to do with research, taking classes, how to buy things, or what kind of places you can rent an apartment in Albany. It can be anything basically. But yeah, the main idea is that ETAP Docs overall is a student group organized by the efforts of student volunteers as for students who are in the program to try and help each other out. Does anybody have any sort of questions at all about the program? Obviously, you can check out the website. We also have a Facebook group and more recently an Instagram account. So if you look for @ETAP Docs on Instagram, you can follow that, and then you can also find out when our next events are, or what we're up to, or like the next time we have like a guest speaker giving talks and stuff. So if there aren't any other questions, I think we can move on to the next thing. But please do check out the website and don't be too critical. But often, if you have any ideas on how to improve the website, more than welcome to give those too. And also our friends who are in the literacy programs too.
Yeah.
It's so great to see you
Actually,
here.
Tom, can you open the chat and
Yep.
let's say hi to them?
So I was just saying it's so great because this year in particular, we want to try to collaborate more with our friends in the literacy program, education policy program, psychology programs, because if we're doing an event on resilience and imposter syndrome, then maybe you guys don't need to do that, but you can come along to ours. And if you're doing one about how to write a proposal or a grant or something like that, then you can invite us to those. So I think it'd be really great going forward to sort of look for opportunities to collaborate, not only in the education department, but also across departments too. So if we're doing sharing research, mini conference or something, it'd be so great to partner with other people in other departments too. So please keep in contact and keep looking over towards us, and we'll be looking over. Have you guys got anything similar like this kind of group in
your
computer
department?
science?
We are the graduate students, so we have GSA for like the,
Oh, the GSA group.
yeah, so it's a
Nice.
graduate student association.
There are few like clubs, but we are not like still aware and we haven't joined yet, but there are
Oh,
few.
okay.
Still.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Tom. Actually, we will have the meeting with the student group from literacy. So I'm so glad to have people from literacy joining us. Can I go to the first? Yes, I think we have 4. Yeah, so Jennifer, welcome. You are doing the study in literacy certificate of advanced. So we are also interested in helping and supporting people who want to join either literacy and or ETAP when it's come to PhD as well. And from here, I hope that Jennifer can also make contact with Emily, who are already in the PhD for literacy as well, right, Tom? Can you move that a little bit for me? So hi, Emily. You also doing a PhD in literacy, yes, and then 3rd years. And we're going to talk about the interdisciplinary collaboration because there are connection between literacy, like writing and reading, with also the topics that ETAP focus, like technological integration into education, like social justice. I think a lot of faculty working on how to work with minorities, minority students, but we also do have linguistics, linguistic and bilingualism areas of study as well. So if you are interested in taking classes across department, you can too. And I know that we have a cross section between linguistic and computer science. For example, if you heard about machine learning or natural language processing, those are also things that can also integrate with us. And we also try to do collaborative topics that have that can be related to everyone. Like you see, the syndrome, imposter syndrome, is also one of the workshop focusing on soft skill and mental health well-being for graduate students. And then the student populations are very diverse. So we have graduate students who are doing master here, with graduate students who are doing certificate, advanced certificates, and also who are working and studying at the same time. For example, Robin, she is doing the PhD at part-time. So there's a lot of topics to delve into, and we also do have a podcast to support graduate students when it comes to those topics of studying and balancing work and life. So please welcome, even is the department that outside yours, welcome to join us. Yes, so I think we will start with the guest speaker, but I think the guest speaker get lost on campus. So let me,
I'll have a quick walk around.
yeah. So let's just wait a little bit before he comes. I just text him the location. But so that's why if you're have you ever traveled to campus? Because it's easy to get lost, right? The buildings are really like look alike each other. So let me take this time to introduce about the guest speaker, okay? Before he came. Okay, he texts me, he's on his way, so probably either he get lost or he's kind of like will be here with us within minutes. But it is our honor to welcome in today's session Dr. Michael Elliott, and he is actually the director of International Student and Scholar Services. So actually, we all familiar with him. So for all of the ladies who are with us today from the Zoom virtual meeting, Dr. Elliott has 30 years in international education and also internationalized curriculum, and he used to be a teacher, and he taught high school biology and physics as well as college biology. And he has been a faculty member in undergraduate education and globalization studies, and also educational leadership. He has a book about from departing to achieving, Keys to Success for International Students in the United States colleges and universities. He has a bachelor degree in biology, genetics, and a master in international affairs and education. It's a dual degree. And he also has gained a terminal degree, a PhD in leadership, and with his concentration in international education. So it's our honor to welcome him today with us. Please give him a big applause.
Good timing. Where's the camera? Is it?
Yes, here.
Okay, so welcome everyone. So not only am I delivering you a presentation tonight, but I delivered your pizza as well. But yeah, it's great to be able to be with you tonight and talk about a really important topic, which is the imposter syndrome, right? I mean, I guess it's not a diagnosis, but it is recognized by the American Psychological Association, and may not be as widely used around different places of the world, but certainly it's fairly well known in the US. So that's what we're going to be talking about here, and how it applies to you as graduate students, I think all doctoral level, right? Okay, great. You're all in the School of Education, is that correct? Programs in
Computer science.
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
so it's a mix.
Yeah.
Computer science and education.
Yeah.
Okay, my mistake, sorry.
Yeah.
And then the same with our guests joining us on Zoom.
They're education too, but they're from the literacy program.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice, nice, okay. So hopefully we can see their videos as well, right?
Yes,
When you bring the PowerPoint?
yes,
Okay.
let's try. I think we can, yes.
Thank you. Hope everybody's first week went well as you're heading into the second week of the new academic year. Fully back in person. I know that's exciting for people. It's due time, right? It's been a while since we were able to meet all in person, no more mandates with the mask, certainly optional. So I think that's helpful, at least as an instructor that teaches a couple classes. It's very helpful for me to see people's faces, expressions. I'm also a bit hard of hearing, so I read some lips once in a while. So I'm always looking at the full face and getting, you know, much more out of that. So you probably feel some of the same ways as we come back full circle. But I think you heard a little bit of this from Mary, so I won't go too much more into this. But in terms of my education, I've got some different variety of both university training and experience, both in biology, focus on genetics, teaching biology and physics in high school, and then teaching biology in college, and then teaching other areas, globalization, education, leadership, and then undergraduate education. So we'll go on to the next slide. Some of you have seen this before, but it's certainly like groups you, right, into a certain level of thinking and understanding and questioning and focus on research than any other students at this university, right? All right, next slide. Okay, so for those of you who have used Padlet, this is a simple question that you get a look at. You give feedback anonymously. So your feedback's going to appear, but we have to log into Padlet so that we can see. Once you guys have gotten this QR code, make sure everybody can reach the website through this QR code, right? To Padlet. Success so far? Are you guys reaching a Padlet website?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
You have a question at the top. So the idea is to, and you guys can do this remotely too, right?
Yeah, you
So
can just scan it.
the idea is to scan it, read the one question, and answer in 1 or 2 sentences. So again, this is anonymous, so all of your feedback's going to appear on the screen. We
Yeah.
can stop. I think we have to stop share for a second. I mean, it is a little downside of
Oh,
using
right.
technology in the classroom, as it does take a
I
long
have the
time.
question a minute ago.
So if you can click that.
Yeah.
I'll just log into the calendar.
Is yours the same as that?
I just like.
And this one you?
Okay, this one. Oh, sorry.
Can we just have the QR code again, please?
Yeah,
Thanks.
Yeah, that's it.
Great.
this is a nice reflective exercise. All PhDs should be in reflective mode, right? Or doctoral students, I should say. Have more than just PhD at the doctoral level here at UOL. Everybody good with this?
Like what kind of
Okay,
things?
I'm gonna
are you
try to go
concerned
back.
about as you're starting the program?
Okay, then how's the answer?
Like so people sit and split it, and then you just type
Oh.
the text there, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, no problem at all, yeah. Please ask. Ask.
The QR code by using your camera.
Camera.
Yeah, okay. Mary, can you open the QR code again? QR code?
QR code again. The QR code? Yeah, wait a little
Yeah.
bit and then.
Yeah, this is a bit slow. I'm not sure what's going on. And there's a little lag time.
Yeah.
It's strange. Let's hope that's the right password. All right. This is the one, right? Help My Unbelief?
Yeah.
It's interesting title, right? Okay. So there's some of your feedback, but let's get the QR code up again first. So everybody has a chance to give a little feedback.
And
And then
Mike,
we'll-
you can share it again with virtual.
Yeah, oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I have to,
Don't worry, I will do that. Yeah, so they are here. So just click here.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and then you
Yeah.
share.
Sorry about that. Okay, let's share screen. Let's get your QR code again for those joining us remotely. If you haven't had a chance, go ahead and get into that QR code again. And read your one question, one reflective question. And then answer in couple sentences. Hopefully, let me see if I can.
You need to kind of respect the camera. For you then downloading the camera. The other kind of.
No, stand.
Usually it's question.
Expandable.
Yes.
QR code.
From,
Yes, yes.
I think it's okay.
Yeah, okay.
Slideshow.
yeah,
Then,
from.
yeah.
So try that, if that might be easier to access. I tested it a couple times and it works, so hopefully everybody is having success with it. Anybody need me to keep it up a little longer? Everybody good?
Okay.
All
Yeah, I
right.
think they're even faster than us when.
Yeah, exactly.
Because of virtual.
All right, good. So let's go back to Padlet and see what we've got here.
Do we have to reshare or they can see the answer?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, gotta stop sharing
And
and
then
bring up
share.
another, I do this all the time, so
Share
I
screen, Mike, then,
shouldn't
yeah,
have to,
yes, this, yep.
okay, there we go. There are some of your answers, and if anyone is giving more answers, they'll appear. But let's look at what we have so far. Balance and time management. Yeah, I see 2 or 3 that are related to that. Definitely. I would say for new students, that would be international and freshman undergraduate. They're the newest to the American higher education system. I would say time management is the most difficult getting used to because you're in a different education system. You're focused more on formative education. Many of you are coming from countries that are summative education based. You're taking a big exam at the end. You're not doing all of these types of assessments along the way, right? So yes, time management. I'm worried about writing ability. Definitely, that's another big challenge, especially as you get up to pre-candidacy and candidacy where you become more independent. You don't have as much faculty support, other student in the classroom support. You're more on your own. And that, when you're in the writing and research phase, that can be sometimes anxiety ridden, right? You don't want to study more. Yeah, yeah, right. Motivation. Passion can help motivation. And if you can figure out what you're passionate about, you still have time as newer doctoral students to figure out what that research topic is that you want to solve. And that's the key. That can keep your motivation going until the end, okay? Plus a great support team is necessary too. In which domains should we focus if interested in multiple domains? Oh, that's a big challenge for PhD because you want to solve everything, right? In your field. But your professors and advisors keep saying narrow, 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 right? And it's like an hourglass. You're reading and reading and reading hundreds and hundreds of articles and books about your topic. That's helping you narrow. You're getting into that hourglass middle. And then guess what? You're back to reading hundreds and hundreds of more articles just focused on that one small, narrow niche that is your dissertation topic and that is original work that is a contribution to the field that no one else has done. That's what makes you an expert in that small niche, right? Anyway, I'm worried about writing. Yeah, there are a couple of those. Will I be able to keep up with the work while teaching full-time and being a parent? Oh, a parent, yeah. Family. So we'll talk about that. I'm worried about publications, getting enough work published. Yes, that's necessary, especially if you're planning on going into higher education. If you're international and you're trying to work towards an H-1B, well, possibly, but O or an NIW, National Interest Waiver, that requires you to be not only an expert, but a demonstrated expert, right? And that's where all those publications come in. But some of you need publications to actually graduate from your program. You have to demonstrate through at least one publication, right? So all of those are big challenges ahead of you. But the beauty of this is I'm going to have to stop the share and go back out and collect.
Your slide, yeah.
Collect us back here.
Slideshow.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that young people can see the slideshow.
You guys can see the slideshow now, right? Up in the Zoom. Students?
Yes.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you,
Thank
Rodney.
you. I'm going to stand back up and I'm going to try to stay in an angle where I can see most of you. And I'll turn my head different directions, okay? So, you know, this brings us to these feelings that you have of your belonging. I think really it centers around belonging. Your feeling of belonging in a program and with other people and how you compare and contrast to other people, right? Including your classmates, professors, experts in the field. probably a lot of your classmates. That's probably where a lot of these feelings come in. Because you know your professors and you have a gap and you're trying to reach up there. But as students, you're all at different levels, right? And so this is natural, right? At some point in time, it's not unusual for graduate students to have these feelings: doubt, inadequacy, not belonging. And all of you at different points are having these feelings. Thoughts and beliefs characterized by imposter phenomenon. Actually, the APA refers to it as imposter phenomenon. Again, it's not a diagnosis, but it's recognized as a, well, I don't know, let's say a learning challenge. I don't know, maybe. Okay, come on in. So my experience with this was back when I graduated with my master's, went off, moved to Washington, DC, got a job in the State Department for a while, got married, my wife was in the World Bank, we were having a great experience. We started to have kids and wanted to move back to close to one of our families. So we started having kids, and 15 years later is when I went back to a PhD program. Imagine that long gap. Most students, I would say, let's say most international students from other cultures, that's not as common to have that long a gap. In the US, gaps are all on the spectrum. You can be 60 years old and go for a PhD. And actually, I was going into a more interdisciplinary program with people from all industries. So that was a good thing because we can learn from each other. And they were all different age levels. So they all had, people had families. Some were from tech industry, business, religion. We had a bishop in there, I remember. You know, there were about 30 people in my cohort. 30, 20, maybe 25 or so. But I was out of the practice of writing. I love writing, but I hadn't written for so long. And out of practice with classroom participation. And I'm going in my first days. Okay, so my challenge was, how am I going to get into a PhD program? I haven't taken a GRE for so many years, and I'm much better at writing than I am at memorizing and regurgitating. But GRE is more than that. It's also calculating, right?
Yes.
So, and that part's fine, but yeah, I got the 87th percentile in GRE. So I thought, okay, that's probably going to be good enough. I get into the program, go through an interview process, I'm accepted. I'm going to classes and I'm just sitting there thinking, how am I going to do this? All these people are just seem to be very natural in participating and discussing things in the classroom. And so it took me a while, but my writing tended to be above and beyond. So I did a lot of my communication through writing in the beginning, right? And then my discussion, you know, came about more. And I wasn't the person who was the most proficient talker in the classroom. But when I got into small groups in class and out of class, teamwork, these things have got a lot better. I just don't, you know, when I teach, I love teaching in front of a classroom, but when I'm in a class, and it's a little different, but so it took me a while to get to that point. So, you know, everybody goes through it. And I would talk to people in our program who, you know, like this one person I became friends with, very talkative. And I thought, wow, but he didn't make it through the program because he didn't have the focus on the writing, and even the more important, the synthesis and evaluation of ideas you have to do when you're writing original work. It's not just regurgitating details from your readings, right? So that's my experience. So how do we define imposter syndrome? Okay, the way I sourced here is just by putting the websites. I didn't have enough time to source, which I normally would APA, but I put some additional resources at the end as well. But in any case, I mentioned something about no official diagnosis, but being seen as an intellectual self-doubt. According to psychologists, high achievers can experience imposter phenomenon and not be able to internalize and appreciate their success. Okay, you guys consider yourselves high achievers? Okay, that's a comparative question, right? Yeah, exactly. However, you've all been accepted into a PhD program, which was a competitive process, right? And you've only been accepted because the committee determined that you have the potential of succeeding to the level that they want you to succeed. And that is their level. You're trying to work your way up to their level so you can have academic intellectual conversation and research and presentation and publication the same they do in that field, right? Okay. So yes, you are at that level because you're here. So you can already say, I'm at that level because I'm here. I've gone through that competitive process of being selected. Imes posits that imposter syndrome is most apparent in those starting something new. That's kind of probably at this point a bit obvious. I'm going to try to move this up to the side real quick here. Yeah, that's probably a little better. Such as graduate students embarking on a doctoral program. So we mentioned that. Do you guys have any comments or questions about the definition or how it comes about, how it's used? It's used a lot in industry as well, like corporate. Because APA would do a lot of industry interest-based articles, like in Psychology Today. Okay, these are not journals, but they're certainly popular magazines that focus on these issues. Any questions from our Zoom gallery? Okay, great. Okay, this is what I refer to as minding the gap. It's the gap between the expectations and the perceptions you come in with, especially as new students, but even as continuing students from year to year, moving up the ladder and the system. Every year is something new and new challenges come about. So every year you can have variations of this balancing act. Okay, of perceptions you come in with and expectations compared to the realities of the situation, right? That's minding the gap. And what is it really about? It's about trying to bridge the gap, okay, with the expectations coming closer to the reality. Okay, how do you suggest maybe that people come in or continue with expectations and perceptions that don't match up with their reality? What are some ways that can happen? Any thoughts?
Maybe hearing success stories of other people and then thinking, oh, it's going to be like that for me.
Right?
Even between institutions, maybe.
Definitely. Yeah. Any others? Any from if it's easier to raise like your hand, you can do it physically, or you can do it by Zoom, raising your hand, or you can just jump in. We're having an intimate enough group. You guys feel free to just jump in from Zoom, okay?
I think they've actually got a technical issue where they can't speak.
Yeah, they can
They
speak.
can speak, but we can't hear them.
Oh, you're
Yeah,
kidding.
sorry about
Technical
that.
issue.
But they
Hear
can,
them
are you
you can ask
sure?
them to write stuff down, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, so I'm sorry, I didn't realize. I'm coming out of a class where we had the speakers working. So,
Yeah, but
we
they
did
can use
figure
the
it out.
chat box, so please.
okay, so
just-
let me open the
yeah.
chat box so I can see it. We've got one up there, so let's open it up. And see what we've got.
And so I think they're, they're from literacy department.
Oh, that's
Okay,
maybe
we have
from the
a few-
previous one.
Oh, are these all chats?
Oh, this is from
This
before,
all-
from earlier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Earlier,
not the-
okay.
Yeah, yeah, it's from
While
earlier.
you're testing out, okay, so what did I miss here? Can you share again? I missed it. I hope I, okay, you guys are good. So yeah, put any questions there and I'll make sure to see those. Okay, any other ideas on why there's that gap?
Yeah, I think it's also for the first year's doctoral program, they also need to take coursework. And in some of the classes, I would say that maybe we find ourselves not good enough because it can be a class from all the department as well, or it can be something very new to us. But, you know, we want to be the best of the world, so.
Yes, right. So yeah, that's another way. Any others?
In one of my classes, the other students are like in third and fourth years of their PhD, and this is my first semester, so I feel like
Yeah.
I'm not that good enough.
They talk a lot.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so a lot of this feedback has to do with comparison to other people,
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
it?
what Jennifer's saying up there too.
Oh, good, okay.
Yeah,
Or if you are new to the program and your peers are further, yeah, exactly. That's what we're talking about. It's a lot of a comparative game. So with a comparative game going on, how do you close the gap? That's what we're going to be talking about, because that's really what's most important here is how to navigate and can you say tackle? I don't know. Later on, we'll see if tackling is the right word, tackling imposter syndrome, okay? Okay, the first overarching thing you should do is look at imposter syndrome issues, right? The symptoms of it, the feelings, the behaviors, the inactions sometimes. Move from a deficit model, in other words, comparing yourself to someone as better to not better or less better, or is that correct terminology?
That's better.
Less, is it?
Little better,
Huh?
little better.
I don't know.
That's
Maybe that's
better.
not correct. I've taught English before.
Also, they're from literacy.
Oh,
Oh, okay. I haven't used that terminology, and so it almost doesn't compute. But anyway, moving away from deficit model, where you're seeing inferiority, right? And moving towards the asset or strength-based approach. Actually, a lot of the research I did for my PhD incorporated, because it was focused on international education and international student success. It used asset and strength-based type theories, okay? So I'm pretty familiar with this in regards to students and their educational journey. That's really what it's about. Okay, so let's go a little deeper here. I'm going to move this a bit.
oh.
You can minimize it now.
Yeah, this it's hard to use this
Yeah.
mouse. That's why it's okay. Well, I'll open it again. A natural process of stepping out of your comfort zone and into a growth mode, growth and development. Okay, so if you see yourself in a growth and development process, then you can probably accept more that you're going to have these doubts, because everyone has doubts as they move from year to year, class to class, experience to experience. They have those feelings at some point. It's kind of hard not to, especially again, when you're around other people that you can compare yourself, especially if it's a diverse group, right? Diverse in levels, countries, language, experience, work experience, research experience, writing experience, all of those things, right? And welcome, we have a new student with us. All right, so you have to expect this is going to happen, right? So what do? Since you're going to expect it and embrace it, you reframe the conditions by changing the mindset, as I mentioned. So through an empowering shift, you can make a world of difference. And here's a quote I took. This is a way you could reframe. I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm terrified people will find out. That's the real imposter syndrome. You're afraid somebody's gonna realize, right, that you're a fraud. And moving it and saying, I'm really looking forward to learning a lot with this new project that I feel passionate about. Keyword, again, passion. And would like to become an expert in. How do you become an expert? It usually takes about 10 years of focused learning, presenting, analyzing, researching everything that has to do with a PhD and post-PhD, right? Postdoc. The passion comes first. The passion helps the motivation, and the motivation moves towards expertise. So, since you're here already, and you've met the threshold of being having the high potential to succeed, then the rest of it's persistence. Doesn't mean you don't have to work hard and that you don't have to interact like academically and think in those terms, right? But most of it is persistence, especially again, as you move out of coursework into pre-candidacy and candidacy. You will already know how to do the work, all right? It's about persistence from day to day, not week to week, day to day. Okay, the second, recognize related physical sensations, anxiety and stress. And I also put headaches and stomach aches because some cultures, they project any parts of emotional and or mental and or psychological issues in their lives, they project it into a physical nature.
Yeah, like I think in Vietnamese culture is the stomach.
Stomach ache, yeah.
Yeah, we have like
And-
butterfly in the
Yeah,
stomach. in the
exactly.
belly.
Maybe even to an ulcer stage, right?
Yeah.
And so I put those up there because depending on cultures, you can have different symptomology or explain it differently at least, right? Name the sensations and be open, honest, and transparent about them, right? So the more that you analyze them, understand them, accept them, and work with them, then you can keep moving forward. Because again, feelings you can't really control. The behaviors that are connected to feelings you can control more, but feelings just happen.
So are you saying we accept those feelings as a part of natural process?
Exactly. But not only accept, you have to first be open, honest, and transparent so that you can realize that they're there. And you move from realization, understanding, then to the acceptance of them, right? And then clarify and revise your expectations. Through accurate assessment, determine what's expected of you, and perhaps more importantly, what is not. How do you do that? You've got to make sure you're moving out of isolation. Okay, when you're not, well, really, you're asking critical questions, always, because that's the only way you get answers that bring your expectations and perceptions closer to the reality. But if you isolate yourself, and you can do it in different ways, like I said, I'm not big in sitting in a class and being the speaker among 30 students. I can stand in front of a class and do that. That's strange. But then I'm not the learner. But then I am the learner. You know, if I'm a teacher facilitator, then I'm up here learning like you are, and I do learn. But it's just a different experience for me personally. So if you can know yourself personally, and know how to best gain the information, right? Sometimes it's going to office hours. Sometimes it's meeting with small groups in your program or outside of your program. Sometimes you can get even better understanding is to talk with people outside of your program, because you will think perhaps more alike inside your program or a cohort of your program, and you've got to compare it against other groups. So this combination of this group is wonderful, you know, inviting in different programs. Oh, and what is not, right? That can help you with imposter syndrome to cancel out those expectations that really, you know, are way out there. They shouldn't even be part of your thinking. Okay, any questions on those three or comments? Any
So
sharing
when
of
you
personal experience?
When you
on
say
this?
that determine what is not expected, for example, after you have a conversation, let's say with your advisor, for example, and then you're seeing his expectation or her expectations are very high compared with what you actually can do. You're saying that we should let the advisor know about that in
I
a
would say that-
transparent way?
That's a good question. I would say starting with the syllabus. The syllabus is the Bible for classes in the US. Everything is supposed to be there. And if it's not understood, it has to be clarified. And that's where the power of the students come in. You know, I've been in classes where probably undergraduate mostly, but you know, students, you know, they'll be towards midterms and there's so much going on. Can we have an extra few days to finish the assignment? You know, those kind of questions. And if you get a collective, then sometimes the professor's up there thinking, oh, okay, well, this is a problem actually. And they're more willing a lot of times to say, oh, okay, yeah, let's negotiate this, because you've got a collective of people, right, doing this. So know the syllabus, talk to students about the syllabus and their expectation. Talk to if you have questions, bring it up in class. Sometimes you're afraid to bring it up in class, but believe me, it's going to help most of the students and it's going to give you points, right? I mean, you're going to be actually thanked for it because either somebody else didn't think of asking it or they want to ask it, but they didn't. But in the end, it's helping everyone. So the more questions you can try to integrate into the natural flow of the discussions in class, the better. But then using office hours and make sure you know the syllabus upside down, because those are the major expectations, right? So other than that, it's asking questions, talking to as many people as possible on and off campus, in your industry, connecting on LinkedIn, connecting through other networking opportunities, and asking people out in the field. You know, I'm learning this in class. What's actually happening in your classroom at this university or in this team, in this, let's say, Verizon phone company, if you're work going out into the industry, right? Or who does the SAT? Who oversees
The
that?
undergrads.
No, college board, or if you're working for the college board, right? So you've got to know what's going on. You've got to talk to as many people as possible. Okay, and then the last kind of discussions here are the devils in the details. So you've got to dig deeper in terms of carrying out these kinds of actions. Engage with your mentors, we're talking about. Not always are your professors the best mentors. They can teach you a lot, But a mentor actually carries you through an experience and gives you a certain type of support that you might not get from a professor. So if you can't, and maybe your dissertation advisor when you get to that point is not a mentor either. So if you can get to the point where you develop mentors, I mentor a few students. I meet with them every couple of weeks and help them through different experiences that they're having, answering questions, trying to bring the expectations and perceptions closer to the reality, right? Okay, realize your expertise as you're building it, right? And realize those around you, because then you can support each other. When you realize what somebody else has that you don't, it becomes a strength for the group. That's how you should be looking at it. Recognize that no one is perfect. Now, that's sometimes hard to do. A lot of perfectionists, but yeah, you've got to give yourself some space. You've got to forgive yourself at times when you make mistakes, and you want to carry that mistake for days. You're coming from a culture maybe where in class you feel like you've asked a question that is such a stupid question, but it's not really necessarily, but you may feel it is. You walk out of the room because you're from a culture where you've embarrassed yourself in front of the whole group, and you're going to carry this with you the rest of the week. But in the US, most American students leave the room and they're on to thinking about something else. They don't, I mean about you guys, about other students in the room. They're not thinking about what you said. They may be carrying their own anxieties, but they're not worrying about you. They're worrying about themselves because they're from the most individualistic country in the world. So don't worry about Americans thinking about Know that the imposter phenomenon is normal, yet irrational. So if you go and read some more about imposter syndrome, you'll read about its irrationality. That doesn't mean you're an irrational person, but you've got irrational tendencies. Everybody has irrational tendencies, like phobias are irrational. At some point in my life, I became so phobic of driving over bridges. Why? Because I drove a semi with a car behind 2 times across the country. I decided that was going to be a great experience. And through the snow and all this weather and professional semis just speeding past me, and then you're shaking because of the wind. And for some reason, for a few years, I would drive across the bridge in a regular car and my hands would start sweating. And I just couldn't look over because I thought I was just going to, hit the railing and head off the bridge. And then a couple of years later, after doing it over and over, making myself do it, then it started to dissipate, right? So phobias and these irrationalities dissipate when you face them, right? So adapt your thinking and perhaps rely less on your feelings of inadequacy. That comes back to this reframing of the mind. And finally, support your fellow doctoral students like you are doing in this group, including pointing out positive attributes and success. When you do that to each other, you raise each other's confidence. And you guys all need that, right? Because your professors probably aren't doing it. Or they're doing it in ways that they may think is helpful, but you may not think is helpful, right? So rely on each other to do that. And through cross-grouping too, cross-cohorting.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. There's not enough of that, like integrative academic integration. Okay, so that brings us to some further reading. You've got American Psychological Association, like I said, Harvard Business Review, Psychology Today, Scientific American has several articles out there about, that's probably the most journal-related publication up here, right? And even that's a little soft. you know, so it is a little bit more geared towards the common population. But it does have some great, I love Scientific American. I keep up with the, you know, especially the genetics development, especially recently with mRNA, DNA. Yeah, we've got a lot of articles and publications and studies coming out because we're in the third phase of the COVID vaccine trial period. The third phase, we're all a part of the phase, right? That third phase of study, as you are in the experiment, ends in 2023. Now, there is a lot of data coming out from Pfizer and Moderna, but there'll be a lot more. So you're going to find all that just flooding the market and all these publications, Scientific American as well. But anyway, there's your last suggestion. Of course, that's a little humor because you know, we all know what we're doing, but we don't know everything about what we're doing. But we know what we know, don't we? Yeah, and that you can benefit other people by sharing what you know. So that's kind of the conclusion. So if you guys have any final comments or feedback on how you think you might want to use any of this.
I can see that there's something in the chat box there.
Ah, yeah, thanks for the reminders.
Well, that's all right.
It's sometimes hard to go between
No,
physical,
it's really
like
difficult.
classroom
The
and
hybrid,
chat.
yeah.
Okay, so
So,
I should be able to, what happened there? I should be able to minimize
there you
that.
go. But like, you just whilst
Oh,
you're doing
yeah.
that, I think it's so great that we've got people from different cohorts here, and like in the future we can
Over there,
keep looking.
Mike,
Oh,
join
it's on
and
the other
stuff.
side.
no, this one can
I tried
minimize it.
that, I thought, and then it just closed it all together.
No, the next one.
아이고.
I can do it.
Yeah, anyway. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I
There
don't
you
want to
go.
minimize all the way. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, you want this?
All right,
Yeah.
so let's read a few of these. I think when we see what people with PhDs, we're seeing the finished product. We're not seeing all the messy drafts. Exactly.
Yeah,
That's a good point. That's why you right now should be attending dissertation defenses. They're open to the public, or at least open to your programs. See what people are presenting, see how they're presenting it. Usually in a particular program, you have a certain flow that is accepted in the program, which is different over here with computer science than education. So that's a great way. And even talk to some of those students that aren't quite there, but will be there next year, and ask them if they can share with you right now what their iterations are and reiterations, right?
can I just jump in on that? Because before we were talking about like some of the programs that we're doing, so I just wanted to mention to Robin to keep an eye out for the research forum, because we have like a peer research review group where we kind of meet up and share drafts and ongoing research.
Oh, perfect.
Where we can
So
be
Robin-
together in the messy draft.
Yeah.
we
So
usually
Robin, please
see.
come.
Yes,
Now, is that a self-produced group?
yeah,
or
it's
is
Yeah,
it-
yeah,
a student-led
something we did, yeah.
organization.
Great,
Department.
good job.
Yeah, so look for that.
All right. Or if you are new to the program and your peers are further in the program, now I think we got to that one. Worrying that all my coursework must contribute to a later
To
dissertation.
initialize the must.
Yeah, must.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, it depends on the program you're in.
Yeah.
However, it is advantageous to do as much, but sometimes you don't know what you're going to research, what your final research topic for dissertation is going to be. That's okay. A lot of what you're doing is helping you get closer and closer. Some people come in and they know exactly what they want to do. They might have not narrowed enough and they're being helped to narrow it down. But some people change their topic. You guys know this, right?
When you attend,
One, two
yeah.
times or more.
when you attend like the dissertation defense, people will often say, oh, this is not what I said I was going to do in my gateway or my comprehensive exam. Lots of people talk about the changes.
Right,
they
right.
do, yeah.
I think if you can keep the passion in the area and then kind of meld it with what gets you to the place you want to go in your profession, whether it's a certain type of publication, right? That you can adapt from your dissertation, right? So, yeah, it's different for everybody, I think, right? Okay, finally, I'm not feeling a lot of relief by learning that this experience is common and natural. That is the key of the embracing it. And understanding, assessing these sensations. It's a practice. So I think the more a person either avoids it or like butts heads against it, I think possibly the more it enhances. I don't know that, like from research, I don't know, but I could imagine. And listen, I'm just thinking of my kids who they're in their early 20s. You know, something challenging comes up, you know, they're out living on their own now. So many things are happening at once, and they decide to kind of avoid one of them, put their head in the sand like an ostrich, right? And never come up to look at it. And guess what happens to the situation? It puts them into a crisis mode, because whatever they were supposed to do now is past due. And, you know, so better to embrace it, understand it, and get closer. All right.
And closer to the supporting network. That's so important.
Yeah, and talking to them about those issues. Do you want to do a couple more, or do we need to move to another?
Yeah. Thank you so much,
Okay.
Mike.
Thank you very much.
Meaningful sessions. So I think your presentation, one of the things that impressed me is also we used to play and hang out with people at the same years with us, but it actually will diversify our thinking and create a more supporting network if we make friends with people from different background or different years. Yeah. Don't worry, we are in the same class, but don't worry. Later, when you're like on your third year, you will also see a person from your first year. So yeah, try our programs. Right. So we are also have a representative from GSEU with us today. So let's figure out what the organization do to support graduate students like us, and especially graduate students who work. Finally, we will have a writing book for everyone that come join us today through the email. So please, if you can also give us your name and your email address, we will send the book to you, okay? So thank you so much for the virtual group. If you want to stay with us a little bit for the GSEU, please do. But yes, the writing book will be sent to you. It's about how to finish the writing thesis and dissertation, and we will email it to you. Make sure that you share it.
Yeah, what happened to the online?
Yeah. You can share it with
We lost some. But we don't need that.
Yeah.
No, we lost the Zoom people, it's okay.
okay. Right. Stop share. Yeah.
Cool.
Give me a motion.
All right, so hey, everybody. my name is Brad. I'm an organizer with GSEU, which is the Graduate Student Employees Union. So I'm over here on the right side, that's me. In the middle is another organizer, Amy. Amy is in the English department, and then our business agent is on the left, Shirley Jin. She's in the communications department, and Shirley is kind of like our president, even though we call it business agent. That's like union lingo. So this is our leadership team for the year. It's Shirley, Amy, and myself. So just so I can get like a sense of what area this is, you're all like education related, but is there a specific like
Yeah,
type of
like
education or what?
exactly. So School of Education, we have Department of Literacy, Educational Theory and Practice, Educational Psychology and Methodology. This one meets the fourth one.
Policy.
Policy, Educational Leadership and Policy.
Gotcha. So is everyone in like a general mode and then you pick one of those? Or,
So we already picked our.
We already picked
oh, okay.
a specific.
And actually, the guys here are from
Computer
computer
science.
science.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool, cool. So are any of you folks either graduate assistants or teaching assistants this year?
We didn't get this.
All right, so we got a few. Cool. So we're the union that represents you. It only works if the quad works.
That's a bit funny.
So what is the GSEU? So it's Graduate Student Employees Union. So what's cool about GSEU is that we're affiliated with CWA, which is the Communication Workers of America, Local 1104. So we're a labor union that represents all graduate student TAs and GAs across the SUNY system. So we negotiate a contract with New York State that covers compensation, health insurance if you need that, workplace rights, and other benefits as employees at SUNY. We have a pretty long history. We started back in 1992 as one of the first ever graduate student unions across pretty much the entirety of the United States, which is great. Some of the other employees across campus, if you think about the faculty and staff, they're represented by UUP, United University Professions, and then the folks that cut the grass or do some of the maintenance in the building, they're civil service employees, so they're CSEA, Civil Service Employees Association. So GSEU represents you as student workers on campus. So why is this important? So we fight for three main things. The first thing is better pay. So I'm assuming that if you're on a TA or a GA ship, you're on a stipend of around $15,000, and if you're lucky, you probably have tuition coverage. There are some schools, for example, Stony Brook, where no matter who you are or what program you're in, right off the bat is $20,000. It goes up to 30. Some students are up to like 34,000, but that's at Stony Brook. At Albany, there's some people making like $10,000 or $11,000 for 20 hours a week for the whole year. In my opinion, that's horrible. We should be paid a lot more. So this is what we do. We come out, we get our members involved, and we literally work to make the contract better for students across SUNY. The second point, which is really important, is working conditions. Probably not a super big problem in this department, but for example, in the STEM discipline, there's a lot of folks who are working with chemicals and things like that. We want to make sure they have the right equipment, gloves and masks and goggles and that kind of thing. If you have a supervisor that's kind of asking you to do things at weird hours or making you work over winter break or Christmas break or that kind of thing, that's in our contract that the like the time of work is from like August 15th through like December 15th, and it doesn't start back up again until January when classes start. So you can't be asked to do things over the winter break. And if you are, you can come speak to me or one of our representatives, and we can come, work that out with your supervisor. I mentioned the health insurance, which is really great. If you need it, our health insurance is actually better than what the faculty get. And if you're planning on having a baby anytime soon, that's like one of the biggest things that, no, seriously, like it's one of the biggest things. A lot of our members are in relationships with like you all, the faculty members, and the UUP health insurance is like just not as good as GSEU. So they use a lot of the GSEU health insurance for whatever it is they do, delivering child and doctor's appointments and that kind of thing. So we really pride ourselves in giving our members the best we can get across the board. We put up here SUNY Works because literally like we are the backbone of SUNY. Like if we all decided to like stop teaching classes, like there wouldn't be like freshman level classes, there wouldn't be papers graded, there wouldn't be the online Blackboard system and that kind of thing. And especially in COVID over the last few years, graduate student workers have really been at the forefront of like delivering instruction to students. So we put that up here, we put it on our t-shirts and stuff. It's super important because SUNY works because we literally do, like we are the workers at SUNY. So why do unions matter? Well, we extend the principles of democracy in the workplace. So by sticking together, and solidarity is one of the biggest things that we believe in. We work on common goals, we balance power. So without having a union, you might not have a say in your workplace. So having a union, we're able to get better wages, benefits, and just generally speaking, like people who are unionized, like across the board, get better wages and better compensation and packages than those who are not. And what's cool is that we are a union. So if you're into like Starbucks workers unionizing or Amazon workers and you've heard about that, like this is your chance to be part of that type of environment and atmosphere. So what can GSEU do for you? So how many of you plan on being here next year? Show of hands. How about the year after that? And the year after that? Somebody wants to graduate.
Yeah.
So this is a really important year because it's a contract year. So I mentioned CWA is like our parent union. So we're GSEU, but technically we're part of a bigger union, which is Communication Workers of America. And that entire CWA contract is up in June. That contract is going to last for 3 years. So it's super important this year that we get out, we come out to events, we sign our union cards, and we really make our voices heard on campus because that contract is going to set the stage for employee benefits, workplace protections, and literally how much you're getting paid for the next 3 years. So whatever we do over the next 8 months, hopefully is going to guarantee us a $20,000 base stipend and better health insurance and better packages and things like that. So this is a really, really important year because like I said, whatever happens at the end of this year with the contract is literally your compensation for the next 3 years in your GA or TA position. So here are just some quick bullets about the contract benefits. So every year you get a 2% raise. That's what we have over here on the right. I was a GA for the last 5 years and I got a 2% salary increase. It doesn't seem like a lot of money, but you know, when you get your paycheck and you're like, oh, an extra 50 bucks. All right, that's pretty cool. And you know, gas is going up and food and everything. So we have automatically a 2% yearly salary increase. I went into some of the health insurance stuff already, but we have vision and dental. You can get your teeth cleaned twice a year. You get a free pair of glasses every year. That's great. Paid time off, super important. Money to members we have up here. We really pride ourselves on like literally putting money in your pockets. Like we understand you might have roommates or you might be working other jobs or you might, you know, be tight on cash. So we have a professional development fund. This one is super, super important. How many of you plan on publishing a paper at any point in your career? How many of you plan on physically going to a conference and maybe presenting a poster or doing something like that? So if you're going to be doing something like that and it's in driving distance, you could rent a car, you could pay for gas, you could fly to California to do a conference or something like that. Whatever it takes to get you to doing that and helping your academic career, we'll just cover the costs. You pay it up front and then we'll cut you a check for the plane or the gas, the rental car, anything like that. We want to help you graduate and we want to make sure you don't have to pay for it. We have a fee mitigation fund, the doctoral recruitment fund, and retention fund. So similar to the professional development fund, if you have fees on your ePay account and you really can't pay them, just let us know. And we have some extra pockets of money that we might be able to cut you a small check, 50 or 100 bucks or whatever it is, just to help you get that over the finish line so you don't have any late fees and things like that. This year we fought for reduced university fees, which is super important. So we fought the entirety of last year, rather, to literally remove all fees. I mentioned Stony Brook before. So Stony Brook and Binghamton, if you're a PhD student, you don't have fees at all. Like they just don't show up on your account. Albany, we're kind of in last place. So what we did last year was we told the university administration here, hey, look at Stony Brook, look at Binghamton, look at these other campuses. And at Albany, they were like, all right, we'll do that, but only for PhD students. So not master's students. So we're trying to get there for master's students. It seems like most of you are PhD students in the room, so you should see that. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we have a mixed group today.
Cool. So next year, hopefully, we're gonna get that as part of our contract
Yeah.
for the next 3 years, and you wouldn't have to pay any fees at all on your account. You also have the right to union representation, which is awesome. So I mentioned a few things before about like workplace protections and things like that. If you have, for example, a problem with your supervisor, or you think something is not right, and you say, hey, listen, I want to have a meeting, you don't have to go to that meeting alone. You could email me, Shirley, Amy, anyone from GSEU, and say, hey, I'd like you to sit there with me. You know, I'd like you to be there with me. There's something wrong here. Could you join on a Zoom meeting or come to this meeting? And, you know, we kind of know what issues and what problems students have across campus, and we might be able to help out. We also have access to a lawyer. We have a brand new lawyer this year who's a lot better than our last one. Our lawyer this year sued Trump like a few years ago on some stuff. So he's actually like, he's pretty kick-ass, and he really worked with a bunch of unions. So he's happy to pretty much do anything. And he does it for free, which is awesome. So if you think you need legal representation in anything, we have that for free for our members. I don't know if I want to go too much into workplace protections, but the biggest thing I'll say is that when COVID first hit, we wanted to make sure that our union members and graduate student workers were safe in the classrooms. And we were the ones teaching the classes. We made sure that graduate student workers had first access to the COVID vaccine when it was first out there, and we really fought hard to make that a big thing. GSEU fights for international students. So international students are about 40% of our membership of GSEU. And it's been that way for a super long time, about 30 years. And a few things to keep note for this group. In addition to some of the activism and stuff we've done, has anybody paid the SEVIS fee this year? It's a one-time fee. So if you look at the last bullet, $350, it's like to the Department of Homeland Security. I think it's a one-time fee. We'll cut you a check for $350 to cover it. So if you can prove to us we paid it, we'll get the money right back.
How much can he cut you a check for, did you just say? Probably don't want to miss that.
This is like one of the most
The
important
last one.
bullet points like of this whole PowerPoint, if it applies to you. Is that we'll cut you a check for
But like
$350.
for all, either like current or just the new one, the members, right?
Yeah, you have to be a GSEU member, and
Yeah.
so depending on like if you've done undergrad in the States, like and you've already paid it, I don't think it's retroactive.
So if we haven't paid it yet.
It depends. If it was like 5 years ago, it
I
might be
see.
iffy.
So
but,
like if we paid this like
absolutely.
2
Like,
weeks ago, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just, you know, send us an email, say, hey, I want the reimbursement, you know, send us a screenshot or a receipt or whatever. And
So are these benefits are for only for those people who have GA or TA?
Yeah.
Not the others. So
no.
like in future, if we get in the if in this sem we don't get the next sem, then can we like?
You could definitely apply, and depending on the funding situation, we may or may not be able to do it. But I can't guarantee if you get a GA ship like in January or next year. But it's worth a shot, you know, because like I said, it's all about solidarity. We want to make sure that you have the ability to graduate and do it pretty much as free as possible.
Yeah. Got
So these are some of the things we've done in the past. So on the left, we had a rally in the campus center fighting to get rid of all fees and abolish fees on campus. In the middle, last year, we were collecting petition signatures for the same thing. We delivered about 500 signatures from students, graduate students and undergraduate students on campus to the president's office. And then you remember I mentioned that the campus waived fees for PhD students and didn't waive fees for master students. So in the bottom right here, it's actually pretty funny. It's kind of small, but the master students who didn't get their fees waived all went to University Hall, and that's where the college president's office is. They wrapped coal in like Christmas packages and delivered it to the college president's office. And we felt, and I feel, that he deserved it because he treated PhD students one way and master students another way. So if you're into that kind of thing and like, you know, showing up at events and that kind of stuff, you know, these are some of the things we might do or engage in over the course of the year. We also work with other campuses. So I mentioned Stony Brook and Buffalo. So these are some of the things we've done. For example, we've gone to the Capitol in Albany. and we fought for this kind of stuff statewide for all SUNY campuses. So if you're into that kind of thing and you want to meet students from other campuses and you want to do activism and meet with the state senator and talk about, you know, how hard it is to be a grad student and how you need more money, it's super important. It's a thing we do. So it says, Justin, grad student fee waiver bill passes in the New York Senate. So we actually had a bill in the state Senate and the Assembly. We're waiting on the governor to sign it. If she signs it, then no grad student who is a union member at SUNY will have to pay fees. I don't think we're gonna get it by the end of the year. There's just a whole bunch of stuff happening politically, but if we all come out and show our support, then we might be able to get that by the end of the year. Although I think we're just gonna try and roll it into the contract for next year.
Are you referring to all fees?
Everything,
Graduate student fee. One fee, right?
like all fees, like transportation, intercollegiate athletic, tech fee, health fee. There's like
Adds up to like 15.
yeah, comprehensive fee, parking fee. There's so many.
When does that start for PhD students? Because I think on my bill this semester I still am paying something. So when
It
does it
should
start
be
for me?
now. So if you're a GSEU member, depending on when your department like sends your information to human resources, it takes a little bit, like it goes department to HR to finance, like back to us. So like if you have fees and you think that like you might qualify for that as a PhD student who's a GSEU member, don't pay your fees. Like we can get rid of the late fee for you. It's like $20 and we just say, hey, like don't do that. Like email us and say, hey, I think this applies to me, and we'll try to fix it within the
I'll
next
look
week.
into it, yeah.
Because it's harder to, if you pay fees, it's harder to get your money back, but if you don't, it's easier to like waive the $20 late fee. So we'll put the email up at the end, and just shoot us an email if you think it applies. We had our first social event last Friday, so just keep an eye out on our Instagram for our next thing. So this slide is super important. So the union receives about 2% of each of your paychecks, so it's about $8 a week. Some people it's like 6 or 7, depending on how much your stipend is. So it's about $400. So I mentioned the professional development fund about going to conferences and getting the reimbursements. So last year in 2022, everybody who applied got $450. So the entire dues are about $400, and then if you go to a conference or use the professional development fund, you get all your money back that you would pay in dues just by going to a conference or getting the reimbursements, or it can literally be anything related to like professional development and academics, as long as you're not like going surfing or go-karting or whatever. Like just keep it in academia and we can pretty much cover it. And I guess I'll mention this too. So paying GSEU member dues shows the university that you think grad workers deserve fees being eliminated, a living wage, and a better contract. So technically, you're not a member unless you sign your card, even though you're represented by us. And the university does that to us on purpose to make it harder for us to organize and harder for us to get people together, which is part of the reason why we come to orientations and physically sit in front of you and give you the card and that kind of thing. So if you haven't signed the card, you can take a picture and do it online. Here's our email, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Definitely like follow these right now, because it's just, you don't want to forget about it. And like, you might see a social event pop up. We had a really fun social event on Friday at the pub. We had about 40 people show up, and we had a bunch of pizza and everybody's first drink. We do beer and like well drinks and that kind of stuff. Everybody's first drink is always on us. So, you know, you don't have to spend any money, just come hang out. We'll give you a beer and food and have a good time. So if you follow us on social media, you'll see we do that about once a month. Does anybody have any questions for me? And
Can you please bring the first page of your info?
Sorry?
Your information, the first page, for the 3 members' information
Let's see.
to reach out.
Yeah, here's my email. It's brad.cwa1104@gmail.com. So if anyone has a signed card, I'll trade you a cool bag for it. Let's go some fun stuff in here. Who's that?
That's nice.
Yours? Want to make sure that Yang is a mobilizer for it, so he's awesome.
I'm pretty sure that I remember.
Uh-huh. Well, do you want to sign anyway? And that way we don't have to like track you down.
Double check that.
Let's see, we only have 3. So you guys email me and I'll get you a bag. Or I'll just give it to Yang and Yang will find it.
I have a question, so I'm not sure that I can assign for it.
Okay.
But it's like, how can I know if I'm already a member or like a,
You could email us or you could just sign another one.
okay, so
you
email
don't
you
have-
and then you can check, like. you
Yeah,
can check.
because like it takes a while, like I mentioned, like the department hired people, they send it to HR. It goes to finance, they do your paperwork, and then they send us a list in a couple of
Yes,
weeks.
so that's why I think, because I have been working for my department like 5th year, so this is my 5th year.
Oh, well, if you've
So-
signed in the past, you're good.
Yeah, but I don't remember because I'm really interested in the professional development.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
So maybe I will write you and you can check.
Well, you
maybe
could sign another one right now if you want.
Like, do they have a membership fee or?
Well, it's 2% of your paycheck.
So, yeah, so I need to check my paycheck. It can come up, right? Because if I sign again, do I have to does it deduct like additional?
No.
No.
It would be like the standard 2%.
But I mean, like, if I'm December, I should know before I have like, like access to my profile or something. On the website, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
how can
no.
I know like I'm a member? I think I cited in the
Like
past,
there's
but I
no
wanna
real
check.
way, like the only way you would know is on your paycheck.
Yeah, on my
Like
paycheck,
it would say like, you know,
GSU or something.
yeah, like 1104, like CWA.
So
yeah.
how does it say? Can you see it say it again?
It would be CWA 1104.
Oh.
Yeah. But if you want, you could just sign another one.
No
I can take
additional
it.
deduction.
Well, if you're not. No,
I cited
additional.
it.
Not if you sign twice, you don't take 4%. Yeah,
Yeah, that is something in the US I discovered, like I need to read everything carefully
fine
and,
print.
yeah. Let me check my email you about.
Sure. Any other questions?
Are you share the presentation with Mary? Sure. Yeah, I work in an international office and it's good for our advisors to know this so that when they meet the students, they can pass.
Yeah, especially like right off the bat, like we just we want to make it a great professional development. We want you to have $20,000 salary, no fees, like that's our goal. We just want to make it.
Yeah, have the little.
Especially
list,
in your.
write your name and your
Yeah,
email.
massive.
Okay, I will send you the,
Okay.
do you have to write a thesis to graduate?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, there is one thing, either we have to write physics, or we can.
Either,
Yeah.
so which one do you choose?
Depend on service. It's not, you're not with your.
You need to, like, because if you want to be a PhD, then you need to, it give you a lot of advantage if you do the thesis class. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But think a lot, think about that and look at the book, because it's going to show you what the thesis is like, or what you like. A lot of PhD
Yeah.
have a minor in industry, right? So
Yeah.
if it is one of your,
So
but like the
we can feel.
if you try to take on
Transportation technology.
from the department,
Some of the.
it's going to pay a little bit less. Actually, he's the one who fighting for a higher pay. But it also give you an idea like, okay, people actually found it in
Those are the things for only the current people who have GAs or TAs, sorry, GAs and RS, right?
I'm saying because you're
Yeah,
after your master, you might want to
Yeah.
pursue PhD.
Okay.
It can be
Oh,
once.
so cool.
So for example, for me, after I graduated with master, I did 1 year
They go
OPT.
undergrad.
I think you have 3 years because you're like STEM. But after that, I feel like which way I should go because of the H1B is really challenging.
Access to the website.
With PhD is my choice.
I
Yeah,
couldn't order.
actually,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I'm
Have
thinking
4
like,
years.
yeah, what to do.
Yeah, so take a look at the book.
I'm already following.
Oh, great.
Thank you.
No problem. Yeah, yeah.
Bye bye. Yeah.
Come to some of our more public event like this. Yeah, we
Yeah,
have
sure.
core program, but we also have public topics. But we have guest speaker as well. Yeah, see you guys around.
Bye bye.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, like our, there's a few in our department. They're like, they just use around 3 months. Thank you. Like some.
Thanks for coming.
students,
Bye-bye.
like, learn that if you have a job, it's on that.
Where do you get the pizzas from? What shop?
Yeah.
Our school.
That's
Campus
the
center.
thing, is like, if you don't have a job lined up, they can.
Where is the
forever.
pizza shop in the campus?
It's called Baba. It's in, you know where Starbucks is?
I know, right?
If you go to Starbucks, you go like forward and left.
Right, yeah. I know. Yeah, I never,
Are you in education?
I was in my understand we did.
Actually, I'm not doing.
Okay, what am I for you? You don't have to do that in front of me.
Yeah, I know, yeah, like, I intended to stuff last year, so I'll keep an eye on, I saw the guys today at the event.
Yeah, in the morning, yeah. They're out there. They're gonna do their thing. We're gonna come up with our meeting. Yeah. Great. Study. I have a card, right?
Very, very.
Yeah, but like, it's okay.
So
Yeah.
I.
Yeah. But if they're not, then so at least we have the card.
Yeah.
Better to get everyone.
Very interesting.
Okay.
Then engage.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, maybe it's really cool.
Because those who, the majority who came.
Always think.
Maybe less. The pattern maybe, yeah, about.
All right, well.
More about
Yeah.
those who are very young.
Okay.
Thank you guys. Mary, thank you.
Yeah, I don't care, thanks very much. We're gonna.
Yeah, I'm thinking because actually we can stop the recording. Yeah, stop the recording. Yeah, because we're going to push the marketing for the doctor forum within our department, which we